right, friends, welcome back to our look at the book of Acts. And today we're going to be in the first half of chapter 16, verses 1 through 15. Let's talk about kind of the breakdown here. I hope that you've already read it. If you haven't, I hope that you will. But you've got three different sections here in the first half of chapter 16. The first one is about somebody. The last one is about somebody. And the middle one is kind of about somebody, but it's also about something very, very different that I want to talk about today. So let's hit on the beginning and the end, and then we'll come back to the middle. So in the beginning, that first little part, we meet a person named Timothy. Paul came also to Derbe and to Lystra. A disciple was there named Timothy. Two books of the Bible are named after Timothy. They're not books that were written by Timothy, but they're books, they're letters that Paul wrote to Timothy. Timothy becomes an apprentice of Paul's, seeks to learn what Paul knows, do things the way that Paul does, and this is where they first encounter each other. A little bit about Timothy. He was the son of a Jewish woman who was a believer, so he's half of his ancestry is Jewish, but his father was a Greek, so his parents are in a mixed marriage, which at the time would have led to a tremendous amount of tension. In fact, he likely would have been ostracized from the community that he grew up in. So imagine when he gets to learn more about Jesus and he finds out that Jesus also had like questionable origins, that a lot of the people in Nazareth were probably not buying the whole like conceived by the Holy Spirit thing. So all of the derision that Timothy would have experienced is stuff that he knows that Jesus would have experienced himself also. And then when God chose to become human, he had a childhood similar to the one that Timothy had. So this is our introduction to Timothy, who ends up being a major player in the life of the early church. Skip down a little bit, and you have the conversion of Lydia. Now, I'm not going to read this piece to you, but there's enough here, including the fact that she was a seller of purple goods, including the fact they go back to her house, including the fact there are more details shared about her than most people. It is good reason to believe that she was likely someone of high social status. Again, we don't know this for sure, but interpreters think that's likely what's happening here. So what do you have? You have Paul encountering people who had kind of a tough life, who were outcasts like Timothy, and people who had probably a pretty good life, who were kind of living it up likely, like Lydia. And then a bunch of people all in between that Paul and others are preaching the gospel to. Again, this movement of Jesus that is spreading around the world at this time is for everyone. Same today. It is for everyone. The people who are kind of outcast in society and the people who are elites of society. And most of us have a predisposition towards, certain kinds of people. The Jesus movement was for everybody. In the middle, we get this strange passage where Paul is traveling around. He thinks that he knows where he's going to go. And then in verse 9, a vision appeared to Paul in the night, a man of Macedonia. So like I said, kind of somebody, but it's a vision. He was standing there, urging him and saying, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." And when Paul had seen the vision, immediately he sought to go into Macedonia, concluding that God had called us. We're using second person here now, so the author is someone who's traveling with Paul at this point. Us to preach the gospel to them. Paul is not planning on going to Macedonia, but he gets this vision. Okay, important thing about the vision. Before that, real quick, again, you see that Paul thinks that he knows where he's supposed to go, but this Jesus movement that is inspired by and directed by the Holy Spirit is taking him to people that he didn't think that he was going to go to, right? Deals for everybody. When we read Acts, the Bible as a whole, it's easy for us to think that people like Paul were experiencing these unbelievable visions all the time. Keep in mind, Acts tells the story of the early church for around 2.5 decades. We don't know exactly how long Paul's been running around at this point, how long it's been since his conversion experience. In here, it's just been, 6 or 7 chapters. But it's been years. If I'm being honest, I want to have like emotional experiences with God or clear directives from God every day, telling me what to do. And when I read the scriptures, it's tempting for me to think that's what's happening with these folks, but it's not. Look at a non-biblical example. Look at Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, early on in her life, I think she was a late teen, had a vision from God that she was to spend her life serving the poor. She goes and does it until she dies. We know from her letters and her journal entries that we got after she died that she was often in like agonizing prayer to God, saying, will you just give me an experience of you? I want to feel you close. She didn't get those, but yet she still continued because that one vision that she got was enough. For me, if I was in Calcutta, I would need a vision every morning. A lot of times we think that these people are getting these visions directly from God. They're not. Now, maybe they're getting little nudges. They're certainly paying attention to the movement of the Holy Spirit. All of those things. There have only been a few times in my life where it has been crystal clear to me that God was asking me to do something like on a larger scale. Most days, I'm trying to stay sensitive to the movement of the Spirit, trusting that He's guiding me. But I'm not getting big, grand visions about what to do with my life. And if that's where you are and you're feeling like, gosh, like I feel like I need that or I want that. It's okay to want those more intimate experiences with God. But it's also okay if you're not having those deals all the time. I don't want us to fall in the trap of thinking that that's the way that God works, is with visions like this all the time. So if you need direction, if you're just not quite sure where to go, pray to God. Ask God for guidance. Be open to that. But also know that even if a man from Macedonia is not popping up in your mind and clearly telling you what to do, that's okay. That what we do when we don't have that crystal clear clarity is we seek to be faithful and we do our best, staying open to the movement of the Spirit. So, who is it that God might be sending you to? It might be somebody surprising. It might be a Timothy or a Lydia. And how is it that you're remaining open to God's movement? You may not get the crystal clear vision, but if you remain open, you will probably get some nudges. And in between the nudges or the crystal clear vision, what we do is we just simply try to be faithful and do our best. God bless you, friends, and I'll see you next time.